Hey, it's your girl, Coach Joe. Come sip and chat with me. As you already know, the real tea is changing your thought process. So let's work. Hello. Trying to make sure you guys can see me on both platforms. I am in my group, Tea Talks with Joe, and then I'm also on my Facebook page, Tea Talks with Joe, Fight for Your Life. So I'm going to try to, my goal is to navigate between the two. So you guys come on in. Disregard, I'm back. So come on in so we can talk about this topic tonight. We're talking about women mental health, okay? Come into here and let's really get down to the nitty gritty of it all, okay? So tonight we're doing a ladies edition, and please feel free if you want to join in on the live, just send me a request. I will add you in. You'll be able to comment on what I'm saying. You'll be able to share some advice. You'll be able to share some experiences if that's what you would like to do. So let's get down to this. We're talking about women's mental health. Okay, so let's jump right in because I got my notes. I got a lot to say tonight. We're talking about traumas. We're talking about experience. We're talking about self-esteem. We're talking about neglection, rejection. We're talking about so many things pertaining that contributes to a lot of reasons why women become overthinkers. You know, we become this person that's just buried in so much chaos to where a lot of people in our adulthood. Okay, I'm back. I'm sorry. Bad connection. So ladies, come on in. I hope that you're in with me. So let's talk about this. As I was recapping, I'm sorry I'm having a bad signal. I'm not in my she shed. I'm in my room. So we're going to try to get through this video. All right. Women mental health. Like I was saying, we're going to talk about tonight some things that contribute to where we are today, the issues that we have today, and it starts from our childhood. So I'm going to go from childhood to what we may have encountered to now in our adulthood throughout this process of life. A woman, so many different things comes on when we think about the power of a woman. What's dwelling in her, was she's giving birth to, you know, what she takes on a daily basis, the stress that goes on in the background that a lot of people do not see. We're talking about that tonight, okay? So let's jump in. Childhood secrets. Like I say, I got to get straight to the gutter on this. I have a lot to say tonight, and I'm going to try to give it to you in the minimum time as possible. Not trying to be more than about 30, 40 minutes of your time tonight. So molestation, childhood secrets, okay? Some of us, and not all of us, I'm just going through a list of things that may have encountered or may have experienced in some time in your life. So let's talk about childhood secrets. We're going to talk about molestation and what it does to you. So a lot of women have experienced either being molested, verbally abused, physically abused. Ladies, please stay with me. I'm sorry about my internet. Okay, I'm going to try this again, and if I have to move to another place, I'm going to have to move to another place in the house. Okay, molestation. This is going to come out today, and we are here. Okay, molestation. What it has done to you as being a child. Like I say, some of us have encountered some of these things and some of us have not. But we're going to talk about molestation. It silenced you. Okay? If you are a woman that have experienced molestation in your childhood, it has silenced you, so to say, in your adulthood. Okay? It has taught you how to take on hurt and not voice that you are going through something. It has taught you how to bury your hurt. It has taught you that if I speak out, somebody may not believe me. It has stolen your voice. And a lot of time how that show up in your adulthood and in your relationships, you don't speak up for yourself. You take on a lot of verbal abuse, sometimes physical abuse, sometimes being mistreated, sometimes a lot of other things that you should not be encountered, sometimes being cheated on. And you silence yourself because as a child or as a young girl being molested and not being able to speak, or someone has told you if you speak up, or if you tell anybody, I'm gonna do this to you and I'm gonna do this to you, it has trained you mentally that I can go through some things, but I have to shh. It numbs you. It causes you to be angry, and it brings fear upon you. It gives you the fact that I can accept being abused. Okay? That's what happens when you go through molestation as a child. It robs you of your voice. Okay? We all heard the term before, and I'm reading my notes if my head is down. What goes in my house stays in my house. Our parents told us that for so many years. What goes in my house stays in my house. What has that done to us throughout these years? Same thing we discussed with molestation. Fear. You're afraid to cry for help. It's okay for you to be in an abusive relationship. It's okay for you to be verbally abused. I am a representation of what goes on in my house, so I'm afraid of others to know outside of the house. Because when we were children, that statement right there, what goes on in my house, meant don't you take yourself out there and embarrass me and tell these folks my business. Because you represent me. So what does that do in your adult life? If you're battling with some mistreatment in your home, I represent my home, so I can't go out there and embarrass my spouse. I can't go out there and embarrass my husband. I can't let nobody know what I'm going through in this home. You have a lot of women in situations like this because, like we say, your voice has been silenced as a child. There's a fear of representation. And there's also a fear of people knowing what's going on because you were taught that that image of what's in my house shall not go out these doors. So it's okay for you to be fondled with. It was okay for a parent to be abusing you. Don't you go to that school and tell them what's going on in my house. It was okay for you to see your mother be beat. Don't you go to that school and tell them what's going on in my house. It was okay for you to be verbally abused. It silenced you. It took your voice. And now it's showing up in your adulthood. You got them same issues, same going on. A cry for help, and you're unable to go out and cry. A false representation of you. How many of us can see this right now in our adult years? A false representation. You're hurting inside, but I got to keep an image. I got to keep a persona of I'm okay. It was taught, that's a learned behavior when these things went on. It taught you how to go out and look like normal knowing that the inside is torn down, but it taught you to say, I'm okay. But are you really okay? And we're talking about childhood. We have not even got to the nitty gritty of everything else that is going on that has contributed through teenage years, that has contributed now into young adult years, now to some of us 40 and up, and we don't have no idea what's going on with us. That's because that seed has been there and it's been growing and growing and growing from child. Learned behaviors that we have continued to go on years and years and years that has robbed us of identity, our voice, has brought fear, has brought anxiety, has brought on a lot of trauma to where I'm tore up as an adult. And I'm too blinded to recognize what's really going on with me because it has been normalized that this is okay. Carrying a load and afraid to release it. That's good. Let's go on to the next one. Training you to be silenced. Neglect and rejection. I'm reading my notes. Being rejected and neglected from your parents. What that has taught us? That it's okay to feel like I'm not worthy. That it's okay that I constantly have to work to get somebody to acknowledge me. I have constantly have to work to feel that worthiness. I have to validate myself. I have to do things to be seen, to be attended to be acknowledged. When you go through a neglection and a rejection from your parents. This still in childhood. And some of us can think back to some points in our lives where we have been neglected. And we all can sit and say, yeah, my mom, my dad, they did the best that they could do. Yes, that's absolutely right. I'm not taking no credit from mom and dad. But some of us experience some pure rejection and neglect from parents, from grandparents. And you wanted to feel that connection. Some of us, it caused us to act out because we wanted that attention. Some of us, it caused us to seek it from somewhere else. Had no business doing what you was doing. Some of us, it caused us to be depressed. I'm not worthy enough. What did I do wrong? It caused you to think that I'm doing something wrong, that I cannot get the attention and being attended to the way that I need to be attended to. And what that does, show up in your relationships. What am I doing wrong? How can I fix it? If I do this, maybe they'll like me a little better. If I do that, maybe this will go better. Or maybe if I did this, or if I showed them how much I love them, and if I did this, maybe they'll love me like the way I want to be loved. Neglect and rejection causes you to mentally think that about yourself. And for a lot of us, it started in a childhood to where almost now I'm looking for it. I'm watching for it. I'm looking for the opportunity for that trigger to come up because I'm so used to being neglected. I'm so used to being treated this way. I'm so used to feeling like I have to work for somebody approval of me. And it show up. And it show up in your adult life. And for some of us, it's showing up in our relationships with our children because you're working for their approval too. Because of neglect and rejection that has happened in your childhood. So now what? I done normalized this thing that I don't even understand why I'm doing what I'm doing. As a 41-year-old lady, I almost forgot how old I am. 41, 42. But I'm doing it. And some of us are doing that. The lack of feeling worthy. For those that you talked on, we talk about molestation, verbal abuse, physical abuse, neglect and rejection, and what it has done to us if we experience that in our childhood. One, it has silenced your voice. It has brought fear to you. It has allowed you to walk around toe up in the inside and saying, I'm okay. Not even having your parents to say, I love you. How many of you in your childhood never heard your mother or your father say, I love you? I was 32 years old. I tell you no lie. The first time I heard my dad said, I love you. I was 32 years old, and I think I was in my maybe 27, 28 when I heard my mother say, I love you. No fault of their own, because guess what? Nobody did it to them. Nobody embraced them and showed them love. But the simplest thing is saying that I love you. What does that does to a woman? We're talking about women mental health. If you didn't hear that as a child, you don't even know how it feels to be loved until you done went through some things and you done experienced some things and you get to figuring out what is it about the love that I need, the love that I desire, not the love that I'm working hard for somebody to validate for me, but the love that I require. A lot of women don't know that. You know why? Because we were taught to work for validation, for love from others, especially from a man. You got to take care of that man. You got to do this for that man. You better do that for that man. You better be glad he like you. You better be glad he wanted your phone number. Not knowing that there is a reciprocation that's supposed to go on with that. That he should want you and love you and cherish you. And I'm not saying that you're not supposed to do something, so don't let's get twisted. But some women got that work mentality that I got to validate everything about me so that he would want me. And you end up with somebody that's a narcissist. Because they seek out for women like that. Wounded women from childhood. Fatherless daughters. We'll talk about that. Fatherless daughters. Men. If any men see this live, it is your responsibility to teach your daughter about men. Your first love. You put on game. You love her. You cherish her. You show up for her. You show her how a man is supposed to treat a woman. Now, that may not save her from a lot of, little jokers, but it sure gonna give her an insight up here mentally of her worth. But if you were absent, guess what that taught her? It's okay for a man to be gone. It's okay for him to come 3 o'clock in the morning. It's okay for him to leave and pop up in my inbox and on my cell phone to my hey, big head, and I respond back. You teach it, it's okay. My daddy was an addict for 30-something years. And my mother, God rest her soul, she would put us in the car. Take us to the dope holes to find my daddy. Put our eyes on him and tell us, baby, at the end of the day, this is your daddy. You're going to love him. You're going to be here for him. I appreciate everything she did for that, because I now am able, and my siblings, we are able to do and take care of my dad, because now he's unable to do these things for himself. But my daddy was zero, boom, bow, kabow, gone. But my mother, the nurturing in her, cared for this man. He left her with 4 children. 2 that he took on and 2 that he made. But that taught me that it's okay to take care of a man that ain't taking care of you. Now, y'all could take a deep breath on that, because it is what it is. You're taking care of a man that ain't taking care of you. It showed up in my adult life. Working. Where was the benefit of receiving? Some of us give so much and love and pour out everything out of us that we don't know how to receive it back. What has it caused? Listen, we all tore up here. Some mess from our childhood that has trampled down in our adult lives. And some of us never seek the help that we needed to get past this, to understand, why am I constantly attracting myself to this type of man? Why am I constantly in a relationship where I'm the only one validating? Why am I constantly laying and having babies with somebody that ain't darn sure that should have even got my telephone number? Why? You were taught to be silent. You were taught to take on verbal abuse, physical abuse, molestation, family secrets. What goes on in my house stays in my house. And now your daddy done taught you what a man's supposed to do to you, whether it was good or bad. Daddy issues. Fatherless little girls. They're just happy somebody coming and cheesing in their face. And you, boop, head over heels. Because a part of that wants my daddy. A part of that, I miss my daddy. A part of that, I just want a man around. I need some masculinity, something up in this house. Don't know why I'm craving it. Don't know what I even want from it, but I want it. And I'm willing to do all of these things just so he would like me. Don't know my worth. Don't know why I keep going on this Ferris wheel, on this roller coaster, and there's no outlet. I don't know why I can't get out of this mindset. The seed was planted at a young age. So we talked about the neglection, rejection from a parent, not being told that I love you. My baby girl, I love you. How many of us sat in our daddy's laps? Never did. And I'm going to tell you what I did when my daddy came and lived with me one time. I told him, I'm going to sit in your lap. And you going to hold me like a little girl. And he did. With the one arm he got this able to wrap around me. He did. I needed that. 36 years old. And I wanted to sit in my daddy's lap. This is when I started doing the work on myself. Like, something ain't right. But all of these things that I'm sharing with you, I have endured. I ain't afraid to say it. Because it has helped me to know and acknowledge this is what's going on with me. Some of us had rejection from mothers. Rejection from your mothers. Some of us have lived in homes with mothers that were jealous of us. Come on, let's be real. I'm not going to say that was from my household, because my mom was very, very supportive with us in a lot of ways, but non-supportive in ways that she just didn't know how to support us. She did what she was taught. She did what she thought that was going to make us tough. But some of us, even in our adult life, have mothers right now today that's jealous of us. And so what that does for us again, it hurts your nurturing part of you. And if, Lord forbid, if you were later on alive, you may be jealous of your own daughter. For whatever reason, I don't know. But I've seen it happen. I've heard stories about it. I've seen it with my own eyes. But what it does is stunt your nurturing. And it brings you a nurturing that's for disaster. And now you're taking that to your own children. Your mother competing with you. Or you competing with your daughters. That's mental, y'all. And a lot of times while we compete, as I can think about, and I say we, I'm saying it's women, not us, you know, I ain't throwing no daggers, but think about when you were growing up. We're talking about women mental health. If your skin was too dark and your hair was too nappy, or Lord forbid, you had something like me. I have horrible hyperpigmentation in my face. I have on makeup right now. But some of us had some scars. And we were bullied and we were picked on. Some of us were overweight. Some of us are still overweight. Some of us still dealing with me, hyperpigmentation, something I can't even control, but being bullied. What did that cause us mentally? It either silenced you or it made you mean as hell. Because your voice either stopped or it became such a force that anything that you think somebody trying to come to you sideways, you ready to give them the business with this right here. It made you angry. It messed up your self-esteem. It made you depressed. And I remember, you know, with my hyperpigmentation, before I was wearing makeup and stuff, it made me very shy. And it wasn't until I got into maybe my mid-20s to where I told myself, I'm going to stop talking to people with my head down. Because I didn't want people to see the scar in my face. It brought depression onto me. I mean, I wouldn't wear my hair off my face. I would talk with my head down, but it stunted my growth because the profession that I do right now today, I got to be able to talk to some people. Not only being a life coach, but in my 9-to-5. And I can't talk, I got to be bold. I got to be have some kind of courage in me when I'm speaking. People have to believe what I'm telling them in the facility I work in. I can't walk around with my head down. I can't be shy. These are traumas that's robbing us in our adult life. If I had continued on like that, because my skin is too dark, my hair is too thin, I got hyperpigmentation in my face, I'm embarrassed to speak up, I'm embarrassed to talk to people in their face because of a self-image of myself, it has robbed me. It takes away the boldness of it. So for women that's dealing with issues like that, it robs you. We'll talk about women, mental illness. Speaking of darker complexions, and I hope I don't offend nobody on here because I am the darkest of my mom girls. And I remember me and my sister, she's not on the live tonight, but she's 2 years older than me. So we always would be either at the same school at the same time, or she'll go on to the next grade. Or high school, and I'm still in middle school, but we always tend to be in school during the same time. And I remember, guys used to say, oh, not her, the pretty one, because my sister is light. And that hurts when people compare you to your skin complexion, whether you're ugly or whether you're pretty, based on how this look. And sometimes as women, we can do that to each other. We can do that to each other. And that hurt me so bad. So I don't really like to hear when people label people based on their skin complexion. Like we used to call my mom Big Red. Okay, well, heavy. She was called heavy, Big Red, but it's not, to me, and you could correct me if I'm wrong, but if you are a light-skinned person and somebody call you red, to me, because of the society that we lived in, it don't hit hard as somebody calling you cocoa, chocolate, my dark baby, because dark skin is always labeled as not pretty. And this is the era that we came from. So yeah, that stings. And to go to school and be like, well, ain't no guys gonna like me. You know why? Because I'm dark. And my sister is light. So to each their own, but you don't know what that does to a child. When you tagging along with your siblings and you're called the dark one. You're labelized by your complexion. So I started correcting people and say, no, my name is JoJo. I'm not your chocolate diva. I'm not the darker one out of the crew. My name is JoJo. It calls you to be isolated. So what does that what happens with that when people label you that way? It caused isolation, and it did for me. I began to think that I'm not pretty. I don't want to go to the dance. I don't want to talk to, go anywhere where a lot of boys is going to be. They ain't going to like me. I don't want to know. And I began to isolate myself. It brought on depression, and it brought on unworthiness. Okay? Teenage pregnancy. How many of us experience that? Just think about this, all this stuff. If I had a bucket and I just put all these things that I already named, and we're not even in adulthood, I'm at teenage pregnancy. And how many of us experience all these things that I'm saying, and now I'm a teenage mother? What happens with that? Embarrassment. I'm embarrassed. Sarah Jakes talk about that a lot. Being pregnant, 13 years old. You know how that is. That's trauma. I'm a disappointment. I'm reading Sharon comment, excuse me. Yeah, she says she didn't have a father figure. It won't let me read the rest. Okay. Place him, unfortunately, I went through some things. Absolutely. It shows back up. And as much as we try to say, I've gotten over that, I'm good, that, it's going to show up. And if you ladies get a chance, read what Sharon just put in here. That's so true. Thank you for sharing that, Sharon. Teenage pregnancy. I'm embarrassed. I'm fast. I did something terrible. I brought this on myself. I have embarrassed my family. Thank you. You know how that is? You got women had babies at 13. We were not even, we didn't even know how to take care of ourselves. Here we are. If we were molested, if we were beat, if we were traumatized, if we were abused, if we were silenced, If we were all this and the audacity now to be pregnant and don't even know how to take care of yourself. I'm pregnant, y'all. The mental. What's going on at this time? I don't know what to do. I don't know which way to go. I got support. I don't got support. Can I work? I can't work. The boy leave. I got a baby by myself. A baby raising a baby. I could not imagine my girls being 16 like I was at that time, gave birth. 15 pregnant, gave birth at 16. The mental stress. I don't even have time to consume what has just happened. It's lights, camera, action. You on. And ain't nobody give a darn. You know why? You made your bed, you gonna lay in it. Ain't nobody give a darn how that was gonna affect you when you got 20, 25. Whatever happened to you and your baby daddy in your teenage years, that was an acceptance that went on in your adult years before light bulb came on. And for some women, the light bulb ain't never come on or had not come on yet. That's tough. And now you an adult. Now you a grown woman. Experience rejection, harshness, neglection, verbal abuse, resentment, manipulation, narcissistic behavior, lack of attention, lack of acknowledgement, lack of love, lack of affection. And you have experienced these things. And now in your adulthood, you're experiencing that with men, your spouse, your partner. In your relationships, in your marriage, and hell, some of them in your children. Mental stress. It's almost like you thinking like you get overwhelmed just thinking about this, but this is our lives. This has taken some place over the years, ladies. For some of us, this is real deal life experiences. And now you're here. And now you're attaching, like I said, to all these different parties. I'm going to share something with y'all. Now, this is my personal thing. Feel free to chime in. Hey, I don't care. I can get real raw on here. I went through so much of this of what I'm talking about. I may have to do a part 2. I went through so much of this that I'm talking about to the point to where I did not come to realization that sex was something that a woman should enjoy. I didn't. Because being molested, then going into being a teenage mother, to going in being neglected and rejected, I thought that sex was something I was supposed to do to accommodate the man, that it was for his enjoyment and not for a woman. Now that's my truth. And I'm going to be honest with you, I didn't get that concept till I was like 32, 33 years old. Come on, somebody, I ain't lying. To where I was like, well, wait a minute. I'm supposed to enjoy this too. I'm supposed to be getting one too. Because of trauma. Taught me mentally that this is something I was supposed to do out of obligation because I'm a woman. That I'm supposed to fulfill this man this way because I am a woman. Until realization came along, no, JoJo, no. That you're supposed to enjoy these things. And I'm going to touch on some of these things other things that I have. So another thing that we deal with our mental health as women is men. When you compare your ex to your current girlfriend, partner, wife, this, that, and the other, please don't do that. Because what that does to a woman that is with a man makes her feel as if he's telling me this because I'm not better. He's telling me this because I don't amount up to what he wants. He's telling me this because I'm not pretty enough. I don't do enough for him. This, that, and the other. I'm going to tell you something. Put your own game real quick. When a man compare you to his ex, that's a control mechanism. He wants you to do more. Control. Because he know if I can bring her up and I know that the traumas that she have and I know that she knows she ain't worthy, she going to do anything and everything I tell her to do because now she's trying to validate that she's good. Think about that. I ain't going to spend too much time on that. The power of a tone in a man's voice. Some of us are traumatized by yelling. We were yelled at. That's a trauma. And in all these things, trying to give y'all the fast edition because the girl was writing. In all these things, guess what? A woman is still supposed to not miss a beat. Some of us have dealt with miscarriages. Some of us has had abortions. You know what that does? I lost my baby. I'm not even worthy enough to carry a child. Or I aborted my baby. Now I'm traumatized because in the back of my mind, I know that I have dismissed my child willingly because maybe I was in a situation that was not healthy and I had to choose myself, and God may get me because I did this and God don't like what I did. Trauma. Some of us done did all this and you walking around like you okay. And on top of that, you are not required to miss a beat. And for those that are living with, a spouse in a household, guess what? Now you got to be everything for everybody else in the house. You ain't even got time for yourself. You ain't got time to heal because everybody else wants you to heal them. And you walking around with the world on your shoulders. And now you taking care of this person. You taking care of this person. I got to take care of my kids. I got to take care of my husband. I got to do all this. And nobody is pouring back into you. You continuing to pour out because now they have an expectation of you to heal their mental issues. And you ain't healed your own. And they wonder why you blow up in the house. One little thing gonna tick you off and you're gonna go 0 to 100. You know why? Because you're carrying a lot of baggage. You're carrying a lot of baggage. And it's showing up. So sometimes when we looking at our sister, instead of talking about what she's going through, instead of talking about the decisions she's had to make, instead of talking about the reason why she left him, instead of talking about her getting out of an unhealthy relationship or an unhealthy marriage, instead of talking about her, the reason why she put her child out, instead of talking about her not having a high school diploma education or a college degree, instead of bashing her, you got to realize I am my sister and my sister is me. She done went through some things. I done went through some things. I am her. So how dare I put my mouth on her? You don't know what that woman is carrying around. Mental health issues in the female body, in the women's society, in the Black society. You don't know what this woman has had to endure. I am my sister and my sister is me. We can talk about this on and on. But the next time we think about, I want to put my mouth on her, you don't know the reason why she strung out on drugs. You don't know the reason why her children got taken away from her. Before you put your mouth on it, you don't know the story behind what this woman is going through, what she done been through, what somebody done did to her. Think about that. And you got to push through. You're going through your cycle, postpartum depression. You're going through menopause, and everybody expect for you to push through as if you are invisible. If you don't have any fear, ain't nobody coming doing no welfare checks. You got women around here that are walking mental health patients and getting up every morning and taking care of everybody else because that's what we were taught. That as long as I take care of everybody else, then I should be okay at the end of the day. Like that's some kind of fulfillment to yourself because everybody done benefited from you and you have not poured into yourself. Whew. And you're expected not to miss a beat. So what do you do? All this stress. And I can name 7,000 more little things, but I ain't got that much time. I told y'all I promised I wouldn't go do it tonight. I ain't gonna stay on too long. But I'm telling you, this is so dear to me because we have to learn how to take care of ourselves. We have got to learn how to do that. You're expected not to miss a beat. You're expected to be perfect. You're expected to show up to work knowing that women don't get treated equally like men do in the workplace, but you got to show up with a smile on your face. You still got to show up. You're expected in relationships to show up sometimes more than men. Let you leave your kids with a man and see how they talk about you. No, you could be going through pure hell within yourself, your own mental issues, and you are expected to be there to take care of them children, to do a darn good job, and don't you dare miss a beat because everybody got something to say, and everybody ready to bash you, and everybody want to do this, that, and the other because you choose to only cook 2 days out of the week instead of 7. It's true. You got to recognize in a lot of cases, you can't sit and say, I don't have no mental illness. I don't have any mental issues. Yeah, you do. And you got to take care of that. So what you do? All this stress. Can't even speak up in relationships because somebody stole your voice as a child. Can't even talk for yourself. It's scared to tell a man how the way they made you feel. You timid to talk to the person you're laying down with. You're timid to talk to them. You hurt my feelings. I didn't like when you did that. I'm not going to allow you to mistreat me. I'm not going to tolerate this, that, and the other. Because that voice that was taken as a little girl is still taken as an adult. You're having sex and laying down with men you're afraid to address. It happens. So what you do? Got to go back to the root. Let me make it real quick. You got to go back to the root. I encourage you to write down. Be honest with yourself. What happened? What did you encounter? How did that make you feel? And how is it showing up now? I am not against counseling at all. As we speak, I stay in counseling maybe 365 days out of the year round. If I go every other week, it's healthy. Do not be ashamed to say, I need to go to counseling. Get in your word. I always encourage that. Get some supporting sisters. Get some friends that's going to support you and not talk about you. Be honest with yourself. And don't be ashamed to take accountability because what showed up in my adulthood, I didn't know I had that issue. Once I recognized I had that issue, if I didn't change it, I allowed it. Don't be ashamed to say that. But we're talking about women mental health. It's real. And I'm not going to go any further with that. And I just wanted to touch on some things. I hope everyone was able to get something out of this. Sorry about the little broadcast, but I think we good for the most part. Women mental health. You carrying around all this, and you're trying to be a wife and a mother. Give yourself some grace to fall short. Give yourself some grace to not get everything right with your children. It's okay. Give yourself some grace to feel so that you can heal from the inside out. You have to show grace, patience, and do the work as it comes. Don't put too much on you that you cannot bear. Don't put too many people on you that you cannot bear. Show up for yourself and enjoy a new journey of a new version of you. That's my video tonight. I hope you ladies liked it. I hope it was all clear to you. And thank you for tuning in. Next time it's going to be a male edition of mental health. I will have some guests, men speakers that's coming on. I'm trying to get 2 guys on, and they're going to tell us about their trauma. They're going to tell us about some things that contribute to who they are today and how they had to do the work to change those things. So thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got something out of it. And thank you for your comments, you ladies. It's your girl, Coach Joe. Have a wonderful night.